Hello, Enki Jazz fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the Enki Jazz podcast. Today I'm chatting to the incredible bassist and composer Hugh V. Williams, primarily about his upcoming album release due out next week on the 17th of July, Equidistant Between, featuring the incredible George Crowley on saxophone and the phenomenal Devon Gray on the drums. It's an absolutely storming album. Hugh has allowed me a sneak peek listen, and it is sounding incredible, so please do go and check it out next week. In the meantime, sit back and enjoy the podcast and interview with Hugh V. Williams. Beautiful. Hello, Hugh V. Williams, and welcome to the Enki Jazz podcast. What a pleasure to have you here.
Dude, pleasure to be here.
But so how have you been finding the last 3 months? What have you been doing to keep yourself engaged, positive, any of that?
Well, dude, I've been getting into gardening in a big way. It's gotten a lot of
Today.
I mean, but I don't know if it's that kind of podcast we could.
the Gardener's World Enki Jazz edition.
I mean, dude, like we could talk about no dig forever, but I don't think that'd be. I think that's like a small percentage of the audience.
Yeah, I mean, in the subset of the national population that is jazz fans, that's already this, this little bit. Then the Venn diagram that intersects with, we've got this little sliver left.
Yeah.
You've been enjoying it anyway.
Yeah, no, it's been cool. Yeah, it's like kind of, I don't know, it's a way of not being on the phone or on a screen. It's just like, and being, I don't know, just getting into nature, innit?
And then you get to eat stuff at the end.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I'm really excited.
I presume you're starting the harvest now, I imagine.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll send you some photos later. But yeah, in terms of other like lockdown type activities, because I guess I've been quite lucky because part of my income has been teaching, like not a huge amount, but the fact that I can still earn something. So I feel a pretty privileged situation to be able to do that. And yeah, like what else I've been doing, like practicing a bit, that kind of thing. Busy with family stuff. It's like, so yeah, like it's weird. It's been kind of feeling busy. Like the new normal is kind of still kind of hectic, but kind of not, But that's good. I've done a couple of things. Actually, did like an online solo gig, like maybe a month ago now. Yeah, nearly a month ago. So that's quite fun, that feeling again. And
I mean, have you done a solo bass gig live at any point?
Yeah, I did one in February, the first one. But yeah, just like, but that first one I did was like totally improvising. So it's kind of like close my eyes and play for 20 minutes and hope for the best. Kind of nerve-wracking, but it's cool. Then, yeah, this other one is weird. It's like I kind of got nervous in front of a screen, but it was great. It was like, so it was kind of came at a good time to be able to do that. Like something to focus, practicing towards.
So I mean, I know you got together and had finally had a bit of a distance play with some people just the other day, even last week or so. How was that after months of musical solitude?
It was great. Yeah, it's like I tell you what I found weird with it. Like I don't know, because have you played with anyone outside the field yet? It's kind of all right. But anyway, but what I was gonna say, it feels a bit, because I was expecting it to be like like Christmas chops. When you kind of haven't played in a few weeks, and it feels like, oh god, it's like the instrument is the wrong way around.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it felt cool to get back into those muscle memory kind of thing. It's like, but a bunch of it's still there, and being able to use your ears in a different way. Kind of, it's quite refreshing. I don't know, maybe it took a minute to kind of get into it, but
Who was it again? Was it like Ralph Wilde and Luke Bainbridge, and was there someone else as well?
Kieran MacLeod.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
It's funny. So we all live around St Albans. Well, Ralph lives in Chesham, but yeah, not too far. So it's been quite cool. We've been kind of making like an just outside of London band together. Since then, when you got the bug, it's just organising, like texting, WhatsApping all your friends. We're like, cool, are you guys free this day if it's sunny so we can play outside?
Yeah. I see that you're turning the big 3-0 coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Do you feel that as a looming impending doom, or are you embracing your 30s with open arms?
Yeah, I guess like kind of a bit of both, you know. It's like any excuse for anyone to make a fuss over me. It's like I love it, but it's but I don't know. But then again, you know, it's like I don't know with the whole age thing. I don't know. It just doesn't really matter. It's like kind of you know. But you know, like especially found with like being a musician, you know, you could be playing with someone who's like way older or way younger, but it still feels like common ground as well. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's kind of
definitely.
yeah. So yes, but yeah, but in one sense, I feel kind of not grown up at all.
I know.
That's,
Oh, but you're
that's
you're
how I
you're a
feel.
lot more serious in life than I mean. Like I was just saying to you before we started recording. You know, I turned 30 at the start of the year, and you know, I certainly don't feel like any kind of grown up. That's a horrible nonsense, vicious rumor. You know, and
Yeah,
but you've got a family and all sorts. You're a real human being. You've got a dog as well, by the sounds of it.
yeah. I guess like in one sense, I have done the most grown up thing and have a child.
Exactly.
But the other sense, I feel like, you know, like I go, how does this world work? You know, like
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was a lovely uh, George Crowley when he brought his trio to the Whiskey Jar, maybe even 2 years ago now. Lose track of all time, but he turned 30 not long before, I think. He was made some kind of great quote about the middle aged life. Anyway, he said he'd finally made the transition in the national press from rising star to underrated. That really tickled me. So yeah, you've got it ahead of you now. The
oh
underrated
God,
Hubie
yeah.
Williams.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but no, but thinking about age though, it's like because you know the idea of not feeling that grown up, and then seeing these people who are really young and like
Mm.
slaying on their instrument is like it's insane, and like you know the level of maturity
Mm.
some of them have with playing, it's just like God, I can't imagine even doing that like 2 years ago, let alone when I was like 19 or something, you know, like.
Yeah. You know, there's loads of musicians that I greatly respect. Of, you know, yesteryear, loads of their careers didn't really pick up until their 30s. So I'm I'm
Yeah,
holding out hope
exactly.
it's all to come.
Like a friend of mine was telling me a story about uh, I don't know. I better not say the name just in case I get the story wrong with the wrong
Yeah.
person. But like a killer tenor player who like worked in a shoe shop until he was 40, and you know just
Yeah.
went to the basement and practiced like hours, you know, a couple of hours before work and a couple of hours afterwards,
Yeah.
and then yeah, but couldn't really make a living from playing
Yeah.
until they were 40. And it's just like yeah, but you know because things
Yeah.
happen at different places, and you know
Yeah. I'm waiting for that killer period in like my late 70s where I finally achieve, you know, international fame and glory.
yeah.
All gonna happen. So listen, let's jump back to the humble beginnings. So you kicked off things in Bangor. You are a proud Welshman, of course. And I realised how important your middle initial is when I was doing a bit of research on you, because as soon as I
Oh
put
yeah.
Hugh Williams into Google, I see that you're a doctor in neuroscience at Birmingham University. You're also a professor of something entirely unrelated, also at Birmingham University. You're also a lecturer at Salford University in psychology, and you're a coach for the national cycling team. You know, the Hugh Williamses get around a lot, so
Yeah,
I'd never
and
had
I'm
a full
also a
appreciation.
London-based drummer who's played with Hugh V. Williams, the bass player. No, it's great.
Fantastic.
No, it's funny though. But genuinely, there is a drummer,
That's
Hugh
brilliant.
Williams. He's from Newport. But yeah, hilarious dude. But yeah, like it's funny. We've been on the same gig like a few times. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
you know, just catch up. Like, hang on, dude, have we got the?
yeah.
Yeah, have you been tagged in my posts again on Instagram? You know. Like...
There's a so I studied classical saxophone before doing before making the transition to the dark side, and one of my tutors at the RNCM was Andy Scott, classical sax player, and there's another classical sax player called Andy Scott, And I mean, classical saxophone playing is a niche enough thing, even if you compare that to the world of people into jazz. The people who are into classical saxophone is like, you started playing the cello at 8. Is that right?
Yeah, so yeah, something like that. Yeah, so that was in primary school, but yeah, I didn't really get on board the whole music thing so much. But with the cello, yeah, like I kind of gave that up. So yeah, like there was that year after I finished primary school, I didn't really touch the cello ever again, really. And then I got into the electric bass at the
Hmm.
end of like year 7. So like, actually, for my 12th birthday,
Hmm.
I got a bass guitar.
Good present.
Yeah, then I kind of really got into it. Like like I was checking out. I don't know. At that age when you like first discover bands.
Yeah.
Because there was my friend's older brother. He was like into Rage Against the Machine, Nirvana, and stuff. And like everyone's first riff is usually like "Come as You Are" or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like kind of I was getting into that, and then like from doing like bands with friends in school and stuff. I was yeah, I kind of enjoyed. I felt like that was my own world as well because my parents don't really play music.
Hmm.
Have since become like music fans, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So that was cool, and then I was kind of getting curious about all these other things,
Hmm.
and like when you kind of get a bit more into like outsider type music, and like
Did you start getting into jazz before you started playing the double bass? Like, was that one of the catalysts, or did you start playing double bass for other reasons and then started getting into jazz and improvised music a bit later on?
kinda, like when you like start to see it pop up in a bunch of different situations. So maybe there were a few things like that like Jacko record, with Donna Lee and stuff on it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And, what's that other one? Come on, come over. The second track off that. That's mega. But yeah, but like, when that opens your ears, it's like, oh, hang on, what's this jazz thing? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot, especially that Live Evil things like that. Like that Miles Davis record. That's like pretty much is like a rock jam kind of
Yeah.
vibe, isn't it? And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then you kind of get a bit deeper. Then I remember wanted to check out Charles Mingus, like
Hmm.
buying the CD from like Cobb Records in Bangor. But also at the same time, like all electric bass people are like really into like Primus and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. Have you had the Primus phase?
No, I didn't have Primus phase, but
You're
one of
lucky.
my old housemates was really into Primus. So
Right. Okay. You've heard it then.
yeah.
Cool. Good. Good. You know the reference. Yeah. So yeah, and that because there was some teams that he had. He was playing double bass. It was his name Les Claypool.
Hmm.
Yeah. That and at the same time, like, I was checking out a band called Mr. Bungle. But that feels like it's like a very common thing, being into
Hmm.
Primus, Mr. Bungle
Yeah.
with people, and that's when the path kind of goes for a lot of people, into the whole weirdo kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got into that, and then but luckily, when I was growing up, so I'm roughly the same age as Hugh Warren's son, Zoot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he's a great drummer, and
Hmm.
yeah, we used to play a lot together. And yeah, and like, there was like a county big band sort of thing happening, and and like so Hugh was teaching that, so like
Oh, great.
great. He was like super encouraging of everything. So yeah, and like through having friends who are into more slightly outsider type music. Well, I say outsider music, but it's like
Non-mainstream.
yeah, exactly, yeah, like yeah, especially North Wales. You kind of nerd out and like I remember like Zoot giving me copies of like Billy Cobham records, and just
Yeah.
and showing me Keith Jarrett and stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? Hang on, all this stuff exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I remember the age of like 15, 16 or something. And like someone say like, what, Hugh, you've never heard of ECM? And just like, oh God, that's like another thing I need to check out. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like, but I guess at that age, you're just curious to like eat up as much music as possible. And
Yeah.
yeah, and luckily the internet was starting to be more of a thing by then.
Yeah.
So it's that crossover period. It wasn't like streaming wasn't the thing, but then you can still order CDs for pretty cheap.
We had a great session at Academy at the start, the start of the year with, start of this year with Anders Jorman.
Oh,
Spent
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
week with us,
Amazing.
and yeah, obviously, yeah, phenomenal. But he was saying that thing of growing up in need to not be horribly embarrassed. He's Swedish, isn't he? He's not Norwegian, is he? He's Swedish, I think.
I can't remember, to be honest.
And
Yeah.
if I've got that wrong, I'm definitely going to edit that in at the end.
Yeah.
But I think he said he's Swedish, and he he was saying, obviously growing up in Sweden, however many years ago, and without the internet, you're trying to stay abreast of the new music coming out in New York and all of this. And he said, literally every week he'd, try and get hold of local magazines and he'd write off to all the record stores in New York and they'd have to send him,
Wow.
uh, records individually. And, it's just this amazing that you knew nothing about the music except, a tiny little write up and a little tiny image of a cover, and you have to write personally to get. And you think now everything is just so accessible. It's such a different
Yeah.
it's a different weight of value that you place on the product then, isn't it? And I think even for us growing up when we did, where obviously the internet was there but not as all encompassingly present. Like for me, going and buying CDs or taping off the radio was still
Yeah,
still an
exactly.
exciting way of getting music.
Definitely feels like when they're in the last generation that had that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, especially, like the internet connection in like rural North Wales is like, like yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but, so it's quite cool that period of time, when you're discovering everything. Like, I couldn't really play at the time or have any like idea about that harmony or anything, but,
Mm.
but discovering all these things, and just like being enlightened almost with all this music, like, oh, this exists, cool, I can like check out whatever, and it's like everything's open and
Yeah.
possible. But it is great, like the formative years with that. And I was really lucky as well that my parents were cool and like letting me do all these gigs when I was growing up, and
Yeah.
driving me everywhere. And yeah, so it's like, so I remember when I was in sixth form, there was like Sunday night residency in Upper Bangor, this place called Greek Taverna. And yeah, so we just get like 20 quid every time,
Oh,
for
nice.
like 3 sets a night
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, that was great. And then, yeah, and I remember once uh, having to get my mum to ask permission from my music teacher to see if like I could skip school to do a daytime gig. Hugh and Zoo, like,
Awesome.
yeah, so that was quite funny. But yeah, that was great. Like the music teacher, he was like, yeah, like you should totally do it, but don't worry, I won't tell. I better not tell the headmaster. Just like, yeah, just pull this icky, whatever. So it's great. Like loads of supportive people around there. Like
Yeah,
but
brilliant.
I do keep thinking it's very much like happened at the right time for with that kind of thing. Because
Mm.
because all those things that were orbiting then is just like, I don't think 10 years later even, it would have been
Mm.
very different.
So I suppose you started playing the double bass then around 15, 16. At that point, did you know that you wanted to go and study music and do it as a career, or did that come a bit late in the day?
Yeah, like I don't know, it's weird. Like originally I thought I wanted to be like, I don't know, accountant or something like that. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
oh, that's kind of alright thing. Like I'm alright at maths and it's kind of, they make a bunch of money. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I remember going to work experience with one when I was like year 10 kind of age. So like 15 or so. And then I
Mm.
was finding that like so boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then so I went on work experience when I was in sixth form at a music studio.
Mm.
And I preferred that, so, like I
Yeah.
remember the end of the week because, back in the age of like CDs, so they just showed me the stock room and said like, yeah, grab some CDs if you want, it's cool, like grab 5 or whatever, and I ended up going back with 20, just,
Great.
yeah. So, yeah, that was cool. So where was that? In Sign Studios in Carnarvon. I don't know if anyone listening would know of it. Yeah, like playing with Hugh and Zoot and stuff. yeah, that felt like okay. Well, there's people that actually do that for a living, especially seeing what he was doing. He's like playing, like living in North Wales, but still playing like international
Yeah.
gigs and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, talk about these like really epic gigs, but like in a very like casual way. Like even now, I'm just thinking like I remember him talking about like playing with Drew Gress and Tom Rainey in Mark Feldman's band, stepping there, and it just sounded like, oh, cool, that's a fun hang. But then but yeah, but I remember even having that conversation like with you, like I was asking like, well, I don't know, do you reckon like I should apply for music college or whatever? And he was like, I remember him just saying like, well, if it's something you love doing, like you should do it. And then and that kind of like made me think like, well, yeah, it feels like the right thing to do. This lifestyle seems like really cool.
Have you ever looked back in wistful longing at the Hugh V. Williams accountant that could have been?
Like especially now, but like I joke like we joke about it, but I've actually been looking into like, hang on, should I get like an accounting
Yeah.
qualification in case this all goes wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I
Like it's like
know,
side hustle or whatever.
yeah, I know a lot of people who've been sort of doing more than just a cursory look at alternative extras, to music. Because I think obviously, as we've been, rammed down our throats, this is an unprecedented and exceptional circumstance and all of that. But it does highlight the fragility of a lot of lines of work over others. Um,
Yeah,
and everyone always needs someone to fiddle their numbers for them. That's the
exactly, man.
inevitable way.
Yeah, and like yeah, but yeah, so I've, like started thinking about that, and I'm kind of, especially seeing now. I don't know. Maybe it's that thing of turning 30 as well. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, shit, I need to grow up. Like, yeah.
After graduating from Royal Welsh and all of that, you head down to London, and then you obviously, how did your network start to form once you were down there?
Well, yeah, maybe if I kind of like mention a bit about the Royal Welsh
Yeah,
thing, but
definitely.
I was quite lucky there as well. Like,
Mhm.
I felt like the right time, but like the community of other students around me were like, yeah, very keen, great musicians, and that really pushed me.
Who else was in
It's
who else was there around the same time as you?
Yeah, like there was the Lloyd Haynes, Alex Haynes, the twin brothers. Lloyd's a drummer, Alex is a guitar player. But yeah, so they're the same age as us, but
Mhm.
then but they were the year below me. But yeah, they were like such hard workers, and that really kicked my ass. Like, but what else? Like Joe Webb, he was there.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Um, Chris Hyson, he was the year above,
Oh yeah, wicked. Yeah.
and let me think, who else? There's a bunch of people. Actually, yeah, like Emma Jean Thackeray,
Yeah. Yeah, she's
she
doing
did a
really
lot of
well.
the new jazz thing kind of thing. Yeah, so it's quite cool. Like, there's a
Was
lot
was
of
Tom
people.
Ollendorf
There's
there?
like so many.
Was
That's right.
Ollendorf
Yeah, yeah,
there?
yeah. He was. So yeah, when I was in my final year, Ollendorf was there.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Let me think. I mean, there's so many people, but like everyone is kind of doing their own thing with
Yeah.
everything. So like,
Is it a big jazz department at Royal Welsh?
not huge. No, no. It's like
Modest.
I guess it would be the same size as the academy, roughly.
Yeah, yeah.
So like like there'd be a couple of each instrument per year, if that.
Yeah. Cozy
Yeah,
up.
but yeah, there's loads of great creative people in that course as well, and
Yeah, yeah.
the time we were there is great. And then there's the people who stayed in Cardiff as well. They're like really active and preserving that scene, which is amazing as well. It's like kind
Yeah.
of, but yeah. But anyway, but how I developed the network of the people once I moved down to London. The main venue where people visiting bands would play, I guess, was Dempsey's.
Mhm.
And if they'd stay over, like there'd be a big hang, and everyone would get like totally hammered and kind of thing. So it's like a great way of meeting people, just hanging out, isn't it? And then that classic adding Facebook friends, and then you'd like eventually pluck up the courage to ask for a lesson of the odd person that I don't know.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
remember whenever like Callum Gorley was over, Tom Farmer or
Mm.
Jasper Hoyby, I'd try and get a lesson off them if they had the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was great. And then, but then you get to know the other the band members, and then yeah, yeah. So like then eventually you're messaging people for plays once you're moving down, kind of thing. And yeah, but I guess like how I first moved down was I was in North Wales after college.
Mhm.
I thought, I wouldn't stay in Cardiff. I thought, like I'd start a new chapter kind of thing after college. But I thought, oh yeah, move back home for a few months to save a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But
How did that
yeah,
work
then
out?
but that kind of the nothingness and thinking, like everyone else is busy doing something, but I've just like taken a step back, and it feels like, especially the end of college, like everything's on a high, and and kind of
Yeah.
like you're feeling like you've reached the point where and just like everything's gonna go way better than just graduating. They're like, oh, work, fuck. But yeah, but then I did the thing of moving to North Wales, where there was like nothing much for someone, like a graduate.
Was that moving back with family or moving on your own to North Wales?
Oh no, well, yeah, to stay at my parents' farm, then.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was still getting like the train to Cardiff here and there, and
Yeah.
spending like a week here and there, crashing on sofas. Uh, yeah, and then the money dries out, and then like after 6 months, I was just like almost like a Cardiff-based musician who's never there, and then
Yeah.
then other people would be like taking that place because obviously it's easier if someone lives in a city.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but but then I found I think all these things happened at the same time. So Josh Arcoleo, he
Mm.
was doing a sublet on his flat for a month, and I thought, yeah, I should just go for it. And, like
Cool.
it's only a month. I'll see what happens, and then then moving down, and then trying to play as much as possible and meet up and hang out and stuff, and
Was he subletting all his gigs at the same time as well? You didn't get to just
yeah,
and take over all his
yeah,
gigs
'cause what
live
was
for a
it?
month.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he was on tour with like Joss Stone or something like that for a month. So yeah, so I managed to have that room
Yeah, great.
sublet from him. But yeah, but no, it's funny like just thinking with but those few months in Bangor, I remember there's a moment where I like really considered like, oh God, like this is going nowhere. Like I may as well just like sell my bass or whatever and kind of figure out something else to do. It's like feeling forgotten about. But then at that moment where I felt like the clear decision to do that, like okay, I've had enough. I don't want to do it anymore. Then I got a text off Hugh Warren, saying, "Hey man, you about this summer? You free for a gig with Jim Black?" And then so I was just like, "Cool, I'm back in." Like like that is
Yeah.
mental. Like when things happen at the right time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the dream gig comes like at precisely the right moment. It's like wow, there's
Yeah.
like some real cosmic stuff there.
Heavy. Whew. So tell us a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
more about this and how it relates to Pon and all the rest of that as we get there.
So so I think this might be actually before the whole Han being a band. But that tune we play, we did have in the Han Book of Music. So yeah, when we recorded the album, we did like a version of this. But then, the song Glyn. So that's a dedication for my grandfather. So it was after he passed
Mm.
away. I wrote this tune, and yeah, like it's just like a tribute to him. And then, but it sort of felt like I don't know, like because I was really inspired by that whole, Alas No Axis, like that Jim Black sound world, his trio as well. And almost trying to compose in that style. Oh, that was really present in my ear at the time. So I thought, like, wonder what it would sound like if Jim Black played a tune that was ripping him off anyway. So yeah, but then like we got that gig recorded by actually another college friend, Alex Kilpatrick. Who's been doing everyone's records
Yeah, yeah,
as an engineer.
yeah.
So he recorded the gig, and so we listened back to it, and then felt like that version felt like the purest it could be.
Great.
Like I guess it's a bit too long maybe, but like the energy of like what it is and kind of what it meant to me as well. It's like
Mm.
because that felt like really special
Yeah, yeah.
thing. Like that's like the ultimate kind of thing that could have happened then for me.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, sit back and enjoy checking out Glyn with Hugh Warren and Jim Black. Amazing. Beautiful. So that was the gorgeous Glyn. So let's jump back to London now, and your first album is Hon, and that's with Laura Jerd and Elliot Galvin on accordion rather than piano. Alam Nathu, is that right? And
Yeah, Al Nafu. Yeah.
Nathu rather. Oh, I've been Nathuing him for years. Listen, so that's it's quite an unusual instrumental lineup with accordion in the mix there. What brought about the want for accordion in the sound?
I guess like with the accordion sound world thing, I was and still am really into Claudia Quintet. So like I guess like I transcribed like a bunch of their tunes. I didn't really study with anyone in Cardiff who played those instruments. There was never like a vibes player or anyone with a spare accordion as a piano player, or. So, but yeah, so I remember having a play, and I was trying to find like someone who played accordion because back then when I first moved down, I was playing a lot with Corey Dick and like just having plays and the odd Oliver's gig to no one. Yeah, so yeah, I remember trying to hook this play up with who was it playing, like George Crowley, Corey, Ralph Wild, and Elliot. Yeah, so that was pretty fun playing that music. But but then so that's when I first came across Elliot with the accordion. And I thought, because he's kind of got the wild card thing anyway, so I thought, that'd be a cool sound world for a band. Like, but so I guess where that instrument sits, it's not like, because, with the piano, it could be like very dominant within something, But with the accordion, I felt like there's all that piano language, but in a way that it could be like a frontline thing, but yeah, and also like the whole timbre of the instrument, was quite cool. So like having that to play with was I don't know, it was something a bit different, but yeah, it's fun. So but thinking out loud, so when I first moved down, actually I think it's before I moved to London. I remember having a composition lesson with Rory Simmons.
Oh, cool! It was
like those Dempsey's kind of thing. And then, because like as soon as Rory found out what I was into, he said like, "Yeah, man, we should have a little play at some point if you're ever in London." Like it's a great drummer I play with, a guy called Pete Ibbotson. So I went over to Pete's in Forest Hill. I think I might have got the train, especially just to have a play with those guys.
Yeah.
All the way from Cardiff, but so we had a play in Pete's house, and but like where we were conceptually, like we were into like a lot of the same records and how. And all those things, they really hit it off with that. But I know Pete had a very close musical relationship with Alan. And like we're trying to hook up this play for ages and didn't quite happen. But I remember being on a gig with Alan. I think maybe not long after I moved down. I think it was like with Hannes Riepler or something. But so we kind of properly met then, and they said like, we should totally have a play with Pete. Yeah, let's do it. And then because I think I subbed in Pete's band once, which Alan was in as well. It was called 12 Heads. So that was cool. Playing music with those guys.
Yeah.
And then so we had a play as a quartet with Elliot as well, and that was really cool. And but it sort of felt like I had that missing instrument, and I thought like a trumpet or something would be cool. So, but Laura wasn't originally asked to play trumpet in it because I thought, well, even though at the time I thought she'd be the perfect person to play, because with being a monster musician and stuff, but as well, like being into a lot of the same things and having the same, interests in music. But but then I thought, that'd be like pretty predictable because Elliot and Laura play together in so many projects, and I was like, I'm just like being really hack and kind of this is idea off. But anyway, so the first gig we were meant to play is meant to be another trumpet player on it, and he couldn't make it. And then I thought, oh yeah, well, it would probably make sense to have Laura playing it,
Mm.
I'll see how it goes and kind of have that. But yeah, so we did that first gig. I don't think Laura even saw the music before that first gig. And, because like, a lot of the tunes were like pretty open anyway, so it was like pretty improvisy kind of zone.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, so that was cool. When we played that gig, I felt like, oh, cool, this is like a band. Yeah, so that was cool. But it's funny, like, a while after that, I remember Laura saying, because we used to rehearse at Laura's house when they lived in like Hither Green, I think. She said, "Yeah, like I always thought of like that music is cool. I wonder what it would sound like if I jump in and played trumpet on it." So yeah, it's like yeah, when we were first rehearsing
Yeah,
it, then it's like, "Oh, cool. This feels." It was really nice to hear her saying that. It's because like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, well, obviously she's the obvious choice for that music. Even though I'm kind of probably ripping off a million people's ideas of having both of them in the same band. But I don't know. But it works for a
Man,
reason, I guess.
right? Yeah. I mean, I think it must be when you came and did the Wondering gig with your trio. I got a copy of the Hon album then, and it spent a very long life in our previous car, so it got a lot of play.
Oh, thanks, man.
I enjoy the album a lot, so it gets a big
Oh,
thumbs up
thanks.
from me for anyone watching who wants to go and get it.
Cheers. Yeah. but funnily enough, because we hadn't played in ages, like with these projects, usually they kind of fizzle out, and it's kind of yeah, like when a bunch of people are busy with one thing or the other, and then yeah, and then yeah, because I remember there's this like one gig, and they said they would only take it if it was like the same lineup exactly,
Mm.
and obviously, I'm kind of dealing with people who are like probably the busiest musicians in our generation, and and then
Yeah.
just before I could confirm it, this promoter was like, "No, tell you what, we'll pull it. We'll go for someone else. Maybe you could reapply in years time." Especially, expecting a little one. Then I thought, like, ah, fuck it, like
Yeah.
this is taking way too much energy. But we were meant to do a comeback gig in June. Like,
Oh no!
we were going to play Pizza Express
Ah.
and like revisit that music. But it'll happen though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, so after Hon, then obviously been doing a whole host of stuff, but after that album came out was the first time, as I say, I met you up at the Wondering, because I don't think you'd played at the Wondering before your trio gig, had you? That was your first time.
No, 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 not before that. No.
Um, and I think you were one of the earlier, like one of the first London bands to come up and play there. I know Corrie had
Oh,
played
really?
there. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
because it had been, Manchester had been like dying for an actual jazz gig for years. Matt and Fred's used to be like a jazz club, but now it's mostly like party band sort of stuff and
Yeah.
successful and all the rest, but it's not putting on original creative music. So um, I think it was more just like starved Manchester musicians finally getting somewhere to play for the first year and a
Yeah.
half, and over from Leeds as well. So I think you're probably within the first like two or three London bands that came up to play. So I was curious how you actually heard about the Wondering.
I'm pretty sure I saw someone else playing there before, and I thought, oh yeah, this might be a cool place to try for a gig. Like
Yeah,
yeah, but I don't know, but it was cool to be able to get to Manchester. I was like quite excited about that because I've
yeah,
not
yeah.
really been before that, and every time I've been since, I'm like, cool, this is like such a vibe.
Yeah,
Manchester.
that's good. It's a great city,
Um,
but it was just like, yeah, it's just mad that there aren't more places to play this music, considering it's such a major city. But
yeah, and I
but
guess like so many killer musicians in Manchester, like
yeah,
kind of yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm just
yeah.
finding out, like hearing about like everyone, it's like fuck, like Johnny Hunter and
Oh yeah,
you as well, and just like oh wow, there's like a scene here. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah.
why weren't we in touch before? Like, like that kind of vibe. But yeah,
So yeah, you just recently did an online gig with Johnny.
yeah, playing a bunch of his tunes, but it was yeah, well, yeah, like because he composed things during lockdown,
Mm.
And yeah, but
Which
he
is
found
mind blowing
this.
because he's only just had his first baby as well. So how he found the time to go and write loads of tunes, got no
I
idea.
mean, yeah, yeah, like I can imagine like so proactive with all
Yeah.
this stuff. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, but what was it like? Yeah, so he found like this plugin through Reaper
Mhm.
where you can like almost play in real time or like
Yeah.
transmit each other's recordings. So I can hear them but couldn't see them, to like look after the bandwidth to put the video off. But no, it's great. So like felt like it happened at the right time, when you're starting to like go a bit insane
Yeah. Yeah.
with like not playing with anyone. And it felt like really cool. But yeah, it's like mostly rubato music we're playing, but yeah, it felt
Yeah.
good to...
But you'd never played with Graham before. You'd never met Graham.
I'd never met Graham before.
Yeah.
No, no. So that was cool. That was like really
Strange to
fun
do
to
your
first time play with him.
your only your only interaction has been a digital gig where you couldn't even see the guy.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I get to play with him in person.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it'd be a weird thing if that didn't happen now.
yeah, yeah. Does it for the rest of your life? That'll be your only interaction with Graham. Will be
Yeah,
a blank screen.
yeah.
No, great. And then so I suppose in around the same time, no, so after you came and played at the Whiskey Jar, clearly one of the pinnacles of that time in between Hon and you started up Improvised Music Agenda as in 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, similar to that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that's obviously doing great. You've got 44 episodes of that out now. Is episodes the right word? Yeah.
Yeah,
44
I guess so. Yeah.
installments, episodes. Episodes is a funny, I don't think of these as episodes, but I suppose maybe they're episodes.
Right. Yeah.
Feels like a funny word for it, but yeah, and I mean you've had some amazing guests on there. So everyone obviously needs to go and check out Improvised Music Agenda podcast if you're not already familiar with that. Why did you decide to set up the podcast? What was because we were pushed into doing it from
All right.
lack of gigs. It was something we had talked about for a long time, but obviously you'd been proactive enough to actually do it.
Yeah. Well,
amidst everything else.
I'd been thinking about it for years,
Hmm.
but never really done much about it. And then, because I was listening to a lot of podcasts then as well, like
Mhm.
one in particular that I really enjoy is 5049 podcast or 5049 Records podcast.
Mhm.
So this guy in New York called Jeremiah Zimmerman.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've
I've
checked out that podcast
been
or listened to that,
someone
but
or possibly multiple someones have recommended that I listen to that podcast and I still haven't, so I'll go and check
yeah,
that.
no, it's great. It's like yeah, because they're great conversations. They're like some of them could be pretty raw as well, and kind
Mm.
of
Great.
yeah, because they don't hold back of like how hard music could be, and you kind of like learn so much with that, like hearing people's insights and stuff, and but yeah, no, that was like a big influence. Then I was thinking, well, what if I kind of did my own version of that,
Mm.
kind of, because I guess there's so many like I felt there's so many underrated musicians
Mm.
and artists that weren't really kind of being talked about. And I thought, like if I created a platform for like more the underground
Mm.
type thing,
Great.
like well, not underground exactly, but you know what I mean. And then, yeah, like just to talk to friends, who I'd be playing with, or people that have an interest in their music. And yeah, but I guess it's a way of being nosy as well. Like you get to ask the questions you wouldn't normally get to ask when you're there with them in like a
Yeah,
informal
yeah.
chat, But yeah,
Great.
so yeah, like that was part of it, and then kind of yeah, like, and then but I guess another big influence. I've only so many podcasts that I've been influenced by, like Richard Herring.
Leicester Square Theatre.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, like his whole thing is like he's kind of built almost like a massive career as a stand-up, and the gateway was his podcast.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
well, I guess there's like a part of that. Like people might be curious, like, oh yeah, well, check this guy's music out, or like,
Yeah.
but obviously I'm not trying to make the podcast about my music at all. But like,
Yeah.
but even to hear like the music of like the people I've interviewed,
Yeah, yeah.
there's so many people who aren't getting featured in all these jazz press things or whatever jazz press there is now. But like I felt, I don't know, I've like slowed down with it a little bit. It's kind of because
So new one came out very recently, though.
that's right, yeah. So I've got like a few episodes in the backlog,
Oh,
but
okay.
I might give it a rest for a bit,
Hmm.
just purely to I don't know.
Just too many gigs at the moment. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. But yeah, like I don't know. But in terms of like interviewing, I don't know. Like I'm hearing like I need to get better at it. I feel like because I've been those like Pablo held ones, and it's
Oh
like
man, I know.
this
Yeah.
guy's like so deep and like
I
how
think,
he
yeah, so much of it depends what the aim of the podcast is, though, because I think, and you know, everyone's podcast may be going to be different. Pablo's is obviously very much about the music,
yeah
and the maybe the artistic process, maybe more than just the music. But whereas obviously the one we're doing is primarily supposed to be more of a like a bit more friendly and entertaining for the masses rather than
yeah for sure
an in-depth musical dissection. But
yeah
where, would you say you fall somewhere between the two, or?
yeah I guess so like because my favorite ones to do are the conversational ones.
Hmm.
But then I do listen back like while editing and think like, why the fuck am I saying that? Like I'm sure there's one where I talk about pizzas with someone because they're Italian, and it's like, fuck, man, that's like awful stereotyping. I mean, I think I might have kept it in even, and just as a way to punish myself not
Yeah.
to ask daft questions like that again.
Should we chat about rugby and Welsh cakes and?
But yeah, like but like the thing is, yeah, it's like kind of I don't know, like the secret of a good interview is tough though, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
yeah, and how to because there's some that I've listened to recently, like I don't know, but well, I don't know. They are two different things, aren't they? Like there's the interview thing, and then there's the ramble thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I'm trying to do the things bit in the middle,
Yeah.
because sometimes there is some podcasts where I try and listen to them as like purely for like an interview style kind of thing,
Mhm.
just because I'm into that
Yeah.
person. But then and then I don't know, then someone could chime in a bit too much as well,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to be a bit conscious of that now.
Yeah, I suppose you could fall foul of sitting on your own shoulder overly much and trying to overanalyze your own thing while you're doing it and
Maybe, yeah.
being in the
But
moment.
yeah, but yeah, but then but then I don't know. It's like it's but yeah, I might take a minute off it and just,
Cool.
but maybe not. I don't know. I definitely want to get to 50 before I do anything
Okay.
really. So I've got like a couple more in the can, and then kind of
Yeah.
yeah. But definitely after that, hearing that Pablo Hell thing. Not saying that that's made me want to give up. It's just made me want to get better.
Wonder if Pablo knows that he's causing such existential crisis in other podcasters,
Yeah.
thinning out the jazz podcast field. But listen, so let's get to the newest news, which is a new album is imminent.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, so that's coming out the last day of your 20s. Is that
That's right. Yeah.
is that by design or chance? You're just sneaking it out in your 20s.
Kinda. I don't know. Maybe in a way that people would be saying like, "Oh, happy birthday" on Facebook or whatever. And then
Buy my album.
if they're gonna see that, I'm thinking like, "Hang on, they might go to my bank camp as a birthday present. I I might break even here now."
That's brilliant.
But yeah, I don't know. But it felt like I don't know. Maybe that felt like a good date to do it. Then is because yeah, like especially with the whole lockdown thing, it feels like I'm glad I'm doing it now in a way because that maybe that's another thing that's kept me a bit more sane, having something to focus on, and then like having that to let go of. Because it doesn't feel like I don't know, like putting a record out sometimes could feel a bit competitive.
Mm, yeah.
And the fact that you're not seeing everyone all the time and just kind of thing, it just felt like okay, well, I may as well just put it out. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we had I think it was the 12th of June. I might be getting it wrong, but I think the 12th of June, Misha Muller-Bardo's new album came out. Dom Ingham's new album came out, and a third person who I can't remember off the top of my head, their new album came out, and we'd done podcasts with all three of them, like only just before then, and so we had to do an album of the week that week, and then there was like these three were
Oh
out.
yeah.
What do we do? So we just put out multiple albums of the week.
Oh,
That felt
you're
like
getting the
it.
split screen app happening then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that definitely felt like tough jazz competition day. Tell me a bit about the whole thing. So this is a trio album now, obviously. After Hon was a much more expansive thing. Um, what made you want to do a trio album for your next project? And tell us a bit about how you met Devin and ended up working with him. And obviously, you've already said you've known George a long time. But why these people? Why a trio? What's the whole shebang?
Yeah, so yeah, how's it go? I guess there's like a bit of a crossover with stuff like because when Hon was happening and this thing was starting up, but yeah, so like when was it? I can't remember when we started playing, like 2016 or something with Devin and George. But yeah, so Devin he brought out an album. So he had a quartet with Chris Speed, Chris Davis, and Chris Tordini.
Mm.
All the Chris's, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so then that came out on Speed's label, Skull Records. But what's the album called? Relative Resonance. Yeah, so I bought that off Bandcamp. I was like super into it, you know, and like
Yeah.
then, but I realized like, oh shit, I've got Devin as like a Facebook friend because you know like. You know, like sometimes some musicians, you know, you just have them as friends there already. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I sent him a message
Mm.
saying like, dude, like really great record. It's like really cool, blah blah blah. And then yeah, so it was a bit like, yeah, because he goes over to Europe a bunch anyway, and you know we just got chatting about that, and then kind of said like, oh well, let me know when you're in Europe. It might be cool to set up a gig.
Mm.
So yes, so we did that. Yeah, and
Okay.
then so I thought you know it'd be cool to do like trio type thing, and I thought because yeah, like I played like a little bit with George, but not my music. So yeah, I thought that'd be a cool thing to try, you know, because he's like insanely good at interpreting anyone's music, and you know
Yeah.
always puts his own stamp on it. And yeah, and like because I know like a record that we're both really into is I think it's like Adobe by Tony Malaby. Like
Don't know that,
it's
man.
like a saxophone trio thing.
No.
But yeah, absolutely mega. But yeah, so I guess like you know similar reference points, and I remember yeah him talking about like, those Sonny Rollins trio things as well, and I'm super into them. So I felt like you know kind of we have similar reference like
Yeah, yeah.
listening to things. Yeah, so yeah, we did that then. Yeah, so the first gig we did was in Dempsey's in 2016, and I remember, yeah, like it's funny, just like picking Devon up from Luton Airport and then driving to Cardiff and then playing a gig like we'd never really played before. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think we did a thing of playing a bunch of each other's tunes. But yeah, so that was really cool being able to yeah like make music straight away, like because it was only meant to be like a one-off thing, like a couple dates,
Right, yeah.
playing a bunch of music, hanging out, kind of thing. But yeah, that then we did like a couple more gigs like a year after when Devin was over in Europe. I think he was in Berlin or something. Yeah, so it kind of grew like that, and then I thought, you know, because it had started off like you know saying that, oh yeah, what if we bring each other's tunes, kind of thing. And then eventually felt like, okay, well, this is actually probably like more my thing now, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of like it was doing a bunch of the organizing, and then had like a clearer idea, like okay, yeah, like these
Yeah.
tunes would work, kind of thing, or like way to structure them, like in terms of the composing, and yeah. So I thought, yeah, like it was, might be cool to record that, So yeah, we did that. We recorded it 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
So we did it in one day. At Fish Factory. I think it was like, yeah, like it was towards the end of June in 2018.
Mhm.
From what I remember, there was like a bit of a heat wave happening
Yeah. Yeah.
when we were playing. So yeah, but no, it's cool. Like, yeah, so it's like really fun to record that, and kind of as well as like taking influence from all these other things. I was taking influence from like Devin's music and George's music.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool to like play music with people who've influenced the composing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we've got a bit of a sneak preview of this one because I can't remember what gig you were. Maybe it was with Mike D'Souza's trio when you were up at the Whiskey Jar last year. Maybe
Yeah,
yeah, and you had the single "Vague Means Vague"
that's right. Yeah,
single download. So we've had that. So we can testify one. How many tracks are on the album?
yeah. There's 10 of them.
Okay, at least a tenth of the album's killing. Speaking of "Vague Means Vague," there's there's a few funny titles and slightly subversive things like "Vague Means Vague," but along with a few just date titles. When you're naming tunes, how much do you have an agenda in mind, and how much is it slap a few words down on top of some noises?
Yeah, like so vague means vague. That definitely is like a
Yeah,
political thing.
yeah,
Cause yeah, if you haven't guessed, we hate Brexit. Yeah, So that was like a play on words, when Theresa May was saying "leave" means leave. So yeah, so that was the title behind that. And I guess actually there's a single that came out. It was a print reaction. So that's maybe to do with kind of what was the reference? Like more like tabloid things, and just saying like there's all these stories that get like way out of hand with tabloid things. Like one little thing, the reaction is like way bigger.
Boiling problems.
Okay, so there's a couple titles that are, like reference to comedy. So like boiling problems, I was like finding it really hard to like name this tune because I didn't want to name another tune after the date because that's I'm already feeling that's got old ages ago, like. But yeah. So I was watching an episode. Have you ever seen that show Taskmaster?
Yeah, I've seen bits of it here and there. Yes, it's Alex
Yeah,
Horn's thing. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
So there's this one sketch. I think I was like watching something while finishing off the tune. Uh, and there's a bit where they play golf with an egg, and they were having boiling problems with the egg, so it cracked as they were hitting it with a golf club.
yeah,
Purely because of that. But then
yeah.
the equidistant between. Well, there's a few meanings with this, but the comedy meaning is like the Alan Partridge quote. He lived equidistant between London and Norwich in the Travel Tavern. So that's the basis of it. But then I was thinking in terms of the whole symbolic thing of like kind of you've not quite something not quite arrived yet, but it's in the middle and it's in the present.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the spiritual meaning of it. But it's like really smart and Partridge.
Excellent. So was there
Yeah.
obviously musically, it's got a lot of the sort of ornette vibe, and like I say, maybe a bit of the sort of Sonny Rollins Freedom Suite sort of, slightly more exploratory end of the trio thing. What was your idea behind it musically when you were starting to write the music, other than just it's Devon and George?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff when I was writing it on paper. Like I try and flip ideas around. So like,
Mhm.
retrograde or retrograde invert and stuff. Like with one tune off the album, was it 13th of January 2018, also called 13/01/18. Anyway. But yeah, that is basically the same 8 bars, but like there's some bars transposed and kind of following like a tone clock, kind of boring, nerdy kind of thing. But the idea, yeah, so it's like kind of widening and contracting in terms of tonality. But yeah, so that's the concept of one thing. But then I guess thing I've been really into is like two melodies happening at the same time.
Mm.
So you know what you'd get. Actually, you know that what you'd get from Ornette and Charlie Hayden improvising.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're two melodic lines that support each other. And yeah, so like that I'm quite into, you know, like two things, not kind of, you know, trying to not get in the way of each other. It's like, yeah, so, I don't know, would that be counterpoint in some way? Maybe, but yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like a weavy kind of thing.
Yeah,
And yeah, but yeah, so you know, like the bass and tenor saxophone work really well with that, and then
yeah.
yeah, so like that is explored, I guess, that thing. And then there's one tune that's a blues, but that's like, yeah, very loose concept. Like it's on a blues form, but it's not based on like the blues, as
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the sound world, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like all these little things, you know, I try out, you know, like yeah, basically it's like weird melodies and kind of a lot of open improvising. But I think that's sometimes the fun playing with those guys, you know, it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, playing, if I've just recorded us just improvising, you know, that would feel like a cool thing, you know, and the tunes
Yeah.
are like loose enough once you're off the page, or maybe sometimes even on the page, that, you know, it's kind of, yeah, it becomes its own piece in a way, you know.
Is the album already available for pre-order on Bandcamp, or is it gonna?
Yeah, so the download is available to pre-order,
Yeah.
and I'll be pressing CDs in a couple of months,
Mhm.
partly because there's no gigs to promote it at the moment,
Yeah.
and also the fact that I don't have the money to order
Yeah.
CDs yet. But I might do a pre-order for CDs. But yeah, hopefully, because we're doing, if all goes well, we'll be playing the trio music in October.
Cool.
So hopefully Devon will be coming over. Yeah,
Wicked.
so we've got a gig in Newcastle, Vortex, Cardiff, as well. Where else? I think we're playing Leeds as well. So they're very short.
Yeah, mega.
But yeah. But yeah, no, so it's cool. So this is great to still explore that music, because John Scott has been playing with me and George, and that feels like a
Cool.
different thing as well. But it feels like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like its own identity with John as well, which yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess partly the idea with this project is that it exists as like the music, and it's not just bound to just those specific personalities, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So I'd like to
it was John who came and played on the trio gig that you did at the Whiskey Jar, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, totally.
Burning.
Yeah. So yeah, John, he's like mega killer
Yeah.
rhythmic dude, and yeah. But the fun thing, because when we're doing that tour as well, because both George and John are really into like techno and stuff and Detroit house and that. So it's cool, like getting to explore that music and then just hearing kind of how they play all that. You know, that how that creeps into the music, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm just realizing that, hang on, I'm proper into this stuff as well now. You know, like kind of, you know, like how it sits like rhythmically along the grid. I just feel like, okay, yeah, that's kind of sort of what this music needs that I never knew that it needed. You know.
Yeah, brilliant. So listen, let's have a listen. Let's have a listen. So you've picked out Equidistant Between itself as a track to have listened to. This is a video from the studio on that blisteringly hot day in June. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say about this track in particular before we have a listen?
Oh, let me think. I don't know. Just hope you enjoy.
Excellent. Here we go. This is Equidistant Between. Enjoy. Great. So that was Equidistant Between from the upcoming album of the same name. So you've got, what, 2 weeks left to pre-order for everyone watching. So hurry up and get on it. That's Hugh's 30th birthday present. Nailed. So listen, we're 3 months in or so to this strange life scenario that we've all got at the minute. How are you feeling about the slow beginning of work again at some point and returning back to normality? And how has anything that's happened through the last few months changed what you might want to do in terms of music and work and gigs and any of that kind of thing? Have you had any? Oh, obviously, as you said before, you're already thinking maybe getting the accountancy on the back burner.
I think I've got the same worries as everyone else. It's like that kind of the slight fear of not knowing what we're going to come back to once the new normal starts, you know? I'm just trying to think like how to be as proactive as possible with these things. For, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know, like, because when lockdown was at its peak kind of thing, you know, I was just having these ideas, like, it feels like now is the moment we can kind of take control
Mhm.
of things, you know? So, like, if any ideas of how we can not put, just put out music, but how we can kind of present ourselves
Mhm.
as creatives, it feels like now is the time to change that almost, you know? And like, but yeah, but to be honest, I'm just trying to think of ways I could just play as much as possible with people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, because we were thinking, I'm not sure yet, but of doing an online album launch. Yeah, just trying to figure out how to like get back to playing gigs and with people, I guess. Because one idea I've had is like, I don't know whether to do do more busking or figure a way of like, I don't know, going to the local park and find like a bit closed off bit and make like other private gigs somehow like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I guess that's the lucky thing with playing an acoustic instrument
Mm.
that we could do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But to be honest, it just it's made me feel like the community of musicians have become stronger
Mhm.
since this, you know, because we're like really in this together at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's like there's no one ahead of anyone. We're all like totally equal now, and that feels like a really cool place to be in one sense because you know we can kind of share our worries and be there for each other
Yeah, yeah.
with those worries. But then again, you know, it's like kind of it's a bit scary as well. We don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
It's great seeing everyone going with the what's the hashtag? Let the music play. Is that the thing everyone's posting at the moment? And it's
Yeah,
great that people are getting behind a movement to support the arts and all of that. But I feel like the sentiment of "let the music play" almost feels a little bit wrong as the slogan, because it's not really about like let people play. It's like support the fucking arts. Like, you know, it's
exactly. Yeah,
it feels like slightly the wrong tact. It's not like allow us to go and play in places that are possibly slightly dangerous for people involved, or you know, for older audiences maybe in particular, or whatever. You know, I feel like the issue is less the whether we start back gigging 1 month earlier or later feels like a slight bit of a moot point to me. But
yeah.
like the fact that as a country we don't really support the arts in anywhere near a comparable state to like most of the rest of Europe, that feels like a
That's
much bigger issue that needs to be addressed. And like you say, now is the time to make changes like that happen.
yeah. Because I guess with the whole saving the arts thing, the thing I'm most concerned about is like with the venues, you know.
Mm. Exactly.
Like, because I mean, it's cool. Like, as individuals, most of us are getting the self-employed
Mhm.
kind of scheme
Yeah.
fund. I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Self-employed income support scheme. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but like that is cool. We get that, but then I'm just thinking about like places that we all play. That's so important to us,
Mm.
and the idea of some places like that shutting is just like, yeah, like kind of scares me a bit. You know, there's a
Yeah.
thing talking about how Royal Albert Hall's like they're struggling now.
Yeah.
You know, which you wouldn't think of. You'd think that's like a listed building that's like safe no matter what. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but
I
I
mean,
mean,
do they own? Do the people who run the arts and the actual events happening actually have ownership of the Albert Hall, or is it owned by some wealthy individual or a conglomerate or something? You know.
I'm not sure to be honest. But yeah, but yeah, it's a funny one though. But yeah, especially like with like this summer would have been cool, like festival times as
Mm.
well, and you know, like yeah. But it's funny, like another weird situation, like because yeah, like I nearly got like this dream gig that I've been wanting since I was a teenager, and then it's like kind of all these things start to happen, and it's like, oh, cool. Well, I guess that's not really going to be on the cards again. I'm just hoping, like,
Yeah.
that's the main thing I'm hoping for this particular situation to be able to happen once
Yeah.
normality sets in.
Well, have to say I didn't have anything hugely excited booked in over the summer, so I don't feel like I'm missing out too much in that way. But I was supposed to have a late 30th birthday party in Dublin, along with my baby cousin. Well, not baby anymore. My cousin's 10th birthday party. So that had to get hit on the head. So that's the thing I'm saddest about missing out on.
But I think that's one thing I'm glad with being like musicians have, like we have to be resourceful in these times, and that's the skill that comes with like what we do anyway,
Yeah.
So it's like we'll all be fine. Like for example, you've kind of just shifted all the things online. It's great. It's like still as busy as ever with stuff, and then and like I guess like the Vortex, they've been doing like that replay series, haven't they? And
Yeah.
some online gigs and.
Well, it's definitely making us think ahead to how we want our model to be when we are able to start doing live gigs again. And the fact that all of this is already in place makes it a lot easier to then look at, even if not live streaming gigs when we're back, but at least recording gigs and having them available online afterwards,
Yeah, but it definitely feels like kind of seeing people in the same room playing a video of that even feels like currency now,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of, so in one sense that's like kind of cool, like that gives more value for us and what we do,
Yeah.
But I just wish everyone else saw it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll get there. Well, listen, have a great birthday in a couple of weeks, along with your,
Cheers, man.
100,000 album sales on on opening day, and we'll obviously follow the links below for your pre-order and all the rest. And take care of yourself, and we'll see you back at the Whiskey Jar soon, hopefully.
Lurch, thanks, man. Cool. See you soon, man.
Cheers, all the best, man. Take it easy. Hello again, Inky Jazz fans. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in today and listen to my interview with Hugh. Huge thanks to Hugh for his time. And of course, please go and check out Hugh's last album, Hon. Please check out his new album and pre-order Equidistant Between, due out on the 17th of July. Also, make sure you go and check out the Improvised Music Agenda. There are some fantastic interviews on there with some incredible musicians. Also, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/NQJazz. If you happen to have any spare change jangling around in your pocket, it will go massively well towards helping us keep this digital program going and supporting artists at the moment, when we all know times are difficult. You can check out our full series of concerts, podcasts and films with improvised soundtracks over there. So take care, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.